Hello again, Year 10. Hope you're all well. So you've had a week now to have a go at the question I set, comparing British settlers in Africa to the English in North America in the 17th century. Been getting some responses back from that, so well done. Both of them look great. Yeah, excellent work there. Right, this week we're looking at a key individual in the scramble for Africa, a man by the name of Cecil Rhodes. There's a picture of him just there. There's Cecil. He's quite a controversial figure today, and we're going to be looking at why his legacy is so contested in the present day. So Cecil Rhodes was born in England, and when he was only 17, he set off for Cape Colony, that area around the southern tip of Africa we've spoken about before. He went to work for gold and diamond mines there. He didn't actually go down into the mines himself. He was on the paperwork side of things. And he made an enormous fortune from buying shares in some of those gold and diamonds companies that he worked for. He decided to go into politics, and in the 1880s he was elected to the Cape Colony Parliament. So even though Cape Colony was part of the British Empire, it was allowed its own parliament, made up of white settlers living there. And eventually he actually became the Prime Minister of Cape Colony. In 1888 he set up his own company called De Beers. It's still around now, a diamond and gold company, still exists today. You can find its website, go online. If you've got a spare 10k lying around, you can buy something. He was also instrumental in some of the wars that took place during the scramble for Africa. For example, the Ndebele War of the 1890s we spoke about last week. As soon as he heard that gold and diamonds had been found in the Ndebele lands, he was key in ordering the invasion of that. You remember we spoke about how the Maxim guns there were used against the Ndebele army. And when that land was taken over and incorporated into the British Empire, it was named Rhodesia after him. So his name, Rhodes, with I on the end, Rhodesia. Nowadays it's called Zimbabwe. And he also played a key role in the outbreak of another war slightly later, the Boer War. We're going to be spending a whole week looking at that after Easter. That was when the British fought against the descendants of Dutch settlers in South Africa. Now, Cecil Rhodes didn't have any kids of his own, and he left absolutely tons of money behind. He was one of the richest humans in history. And a lot of that money he left behind as endowments for educational establishments, for example, Cape Town University in South Africa, and closer to home for us, Oxford University as well. There's this program called the Rhodes Scholarship. He originally set this up for essentially white students from different areas in the British Empire or the English-speaking world, such as the USA as well, to come and study at Oxford, and this way of promoting and spreading British culture through the globe as he saw it. And Rhodes scholarships still exist today. They're not just limited to white students. Anybody from English-speaking countries can apply for a Rhodes scholarship, and some very famous people such as Bill Clinton have used those to come and study at Oxford in the past. And it was such an enormous sum of money that he left behind that Oxford University is still benefiting from it today. So you can probably start to see why he's seen as such a controversial figure, involved in the British Empire and in those wars in southern Africa, but also somebody who left a legacy of helping people in education. So in this book, the one I showed you the picture of Cecil Rhodes from before, this is from this lovely series of books. There's a couple more of them just here. I picked these up at a car boot sale when I was a kid. They're a history of the world in 8 volumes, published in 1907. It's one of my favourite sets of books. They're absolutely beautiful. And it's published only 5 years after Cecil Rhodes died, and it just describes him in totally glowing terms, like he was some sort of hero. There's no mention of anything negative at all. In fact, just under the picture of Cecil Rhodes, just there, as you can see, it says, "As a young politician of the Cape, he dreamed the vast dreams out of which grew Rhodesia. So, almost painting him as a sort of like, a Martin Luther King type figure for us now, somebody who had a dream, a great dream. And that dream for him was the British Empire expanding, really. And nowadays, a lot of people don't think he's somebody who should be celebrated. So 5 years ago, a statue of Rhodes was actually taken down, torn down, removed at Cape Town University in South Africa. And around the same time, campaigners in the UK unsuccessfully tried to get a statue of him removed from Oxford University. And your first task is going to be to watch a couple of news clips from 2015 when this debate over the statues, one in South Africa and one in Britain, was going on. And there are some questions I want you to answer on the sheet. So in a minute, I'm going to cut away and hopefully I'll be able to splice in these videos for you so you can watch the videos, and then there'll be a bit more of me at the end, and I'll give you your second tasks and your third task after that. But first of all, watch these two news clips from the time and answer the questions that are on the sheet. Okay, see you again in a sec.
Thursday, the 9th of April 2015 is a watershed day in the 185-year history of the University of Cape Town. Now today is the day on which the statue of Cecil John Rhodes, which has been prominently positioned at the entrance to the university, the main entrance along the road to the university, it has been positioned there since 1934. And students, a month ago, students actually started a protest with one of the students throwing excrement at the statue, sparking further protests, which culminated in a group of students occupying the main administration buildings of the university, which is just off campus. This forced the university's council at a meeting last night. The council being the main decision-making body of the university, the council decided last night to remove the statue, sparking widespread celebrations among the students. Now today is a normal university day, but there's been a great deal of anticipation all day long ahead of the removal of the statue. And let's just find out from the students who've gathered around here what their feeling is on the removal of the statue.
We're not stupid. We don't think the statue is some panacea towards total transformation. I think there's a lot of racial hurt that's pent up amongst black people in this campus, and this statue is just the first sign that UCT is serious about changing.
There's a lot of things, a lot of issues that have come up, like the fact that there aren't a lot of black lecturers here, the course curriculum is very Eurocentric and that kind of thing.
So I didn't know all about Cecil John Rhodes until this whole thing came up, and now that it has, I think it's quite good, because I don't align myself with the things that he did.
I never really cared about the statue because I'm here to study, but then if it makes people happy, then why not?
Now this represents the start of a process to transform the university so that the senior academic staff reflects the demographics of the country, and that the curriculum is changed to reflect its position of the southern tip of the African continent.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
This is Oriel College's Rhodes Building, a Grade 2 star listed building that was constructed after Cecil Rhodes, an alumnus of Oriel, left 2% of his fortune to the college. But recently, the statue of Rhodes himself has become the centre of a great controversy. After the statue of Rhodes was taken down at the University of Cape Town, the Rhodes Must Fall movement has reached Oxford. On Friday, hundreds of students gathered outside Oriel to protest.
Decolonize. 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 Decolonize.
So we're here at the protest at Oriel, where some 200 people have come to deliver the petition and to protest against the perceived glorification of this architect of apartheid.
The process of decolonisation has not come to Oxford as if Oxford is some strange destination for it to come to. It has come home. Rhodes and this institution have been crucial in the instigating of an infrastructure which is now known as white superiority or as colonisation. The fight has come home to where it started.
The people, united, will never be defeated. The
those clips. I love them. That South African student with the massive neck and the student reporter in Oxford make both of those two of my favourite videos I ever show in class. Right, your next task is going to be to use the textbook pages I've scanned in to create a key individual profile on Cecil Rhodes with a bit of background information, the key events of his life, the key things that he did, thinking about setting up his company, thinking about the wars he was involved with, thinking about the educational stuff he got involved with. I know that's quite a hard thing to do sometimes, especially thinking about significance, splitting that into short-term, long-term. Just do your best with it, think about it, and if you're stuck, email your teacher. And then task 3 is going to be to think about the 2 key ideas that really underpinned Cecil Rhodes' thinking. And those 2 ideas are imperialism and social Darwinism. So imperialism is quite simply the idea that building empires is a good thing, and for someone from Britain like Cecil Rhodes, there was that idea that Britain had a kind of a duty to build up an empire and to spread its culture around the world. And then a linked idea with that is this concept of social Darwinism. So in the 19th century, Charles Darwin, who you'll all have heard of, came up with the theory of evolution, the concept of the survival of the fittest, and that's to do with animals, the animal world. And a lot of people sort of took that idea and tried to apply it to humanity as well. This idea that there were different races of humankind, and it was a kind of a survival of the fittest type situation where only the strongest races would survive, and the stronger races had a kind of a duty to supplant the weaker ones and take over their lands. Modern day science has proved that the whole concept of races, different races of humanity, is wrong. We're all far more mixed than we ever had any concept of in the 19th century. But that's not to say that this idea wasn't immensely powerful at the time. Cecil Rhodes certainly believed that the British were a superior race to, well, pretty much everyone else on the planet. And it's important to understand how influential that idea was, not just in Britain, but in other countries as well. For example, Germany. And you know, when next year when you're learning about Hitler and how he developed this concept of creating a racially pure society and taking over the land of the so-called inferior races in Eastern Europe, he was very inspired by the ideas of people like Cecil Rhodes that were around in the 19th century. So it's really important that we understand this because it's such a significant set of beliefs which were rooted in an idea that was totally wrong. So what I want you to do is have a look at some of the quotes from Cecil Rhodes that I've gathered for you on your sheet, work out which of them are imperialist, to do with building of empires, which are social Darwinist, to do with there being different races, the British being the superior among those. So have a little think about that. Some of them might fall under both categories, be a bit of a mixture of the two. And then there's an extension task to finish off, which is going to be to go back to that statue, those videos we looked at the beginning, and think, do you think the statue at Oxford University should have been pulled down? It hasn't been pulled down as of yet, but should the Rhodes statue at Oxford have been pulled down? And I'd be really interested to know your opinion on that question. Right, good luck with the work. This will be the last video for a couple of weeks because it's technically the Easter holidays, and I'll give you a chance to catch up with everything. You've got your revision to be doing for the mock exam, which is going to take place in May. That's where you've got to look at all the empires over time and just try and have an understanding of how they all grew and what factors were behind those. So you can look back at Monday's video if you want to remind yourself of what to do for that. And good luck with the work, and keep engaging with it, keep sending it in, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Cheerio.